to go into, quote, full sell mode. So can he strike a deal? Here to discuss, Congressman Mike Kelly and Congressman Brian Babin. Congressman Kelly, you know, the whole world's watching. It's in the Republicans' court. You guys want it. You got it. Can you deliver?
Well, we sure inherited something that's a disaster, and you know that, Charles. We've talked about it before. Yes, we can deliver. I do think, though, the process is the thing we champion. We really want health care to be in the hands of the people who actually use it. We want to be able to make choices, and we want to be able to do things that are best for them and their families. So we're going to go through this process, but it's the process that we champion. And I know we have friends that say, this is not quite what we wanted. Well, I'm going to tell you where we are right now. You're either on this new piece or you're with Nancy Pelosi, and I don't think we want to be in that position right now. The president's going to be very influential on it, and he's a guy that can really drive it across the finish line. We're going to do the right thing for the American people, and we're going to do things that make sense and they're truly sustainable. The path we're on right now is truly unsustainable. We've got to get that fixed.
Right. We know that, and we also know that the Republicans campaigned on this very hard. They voted at least 60, maybe 70 times on repealing it. But Representative Babin, are some Republicans going to have to ultimately accept a bill that goes against their own political orthodoxy, that may or may not meet what they promised their own constituents?
Well, you know, Charles, good to be with you. This is a work in progress. You know, we had conversations with OMB Director Mick Mulvaney last night, and he told us this is a work in progress. So, you know, we're looking forward to seeing a finished product here that is going to be amended. I've talked to a lot of my friends and colleagues who serve on Energy and Commerce and also on Ways and Means. There are amendments being offered as we speak. So I'm looking forward. I'm optimistic. Let me just tell you that just as my colleague Mike said, this Obamacare is a disaster. I'm a healthcare professional. I campaigned on this 3 years ago. It's a disaster. It's in a death spiral. We know that. It's costing people their coverage. Their premiums are so high they can't use their policies that they do have. And so I'm looking forward. I'm optimistic. We're trying to get to yes on this bill, and I'm waiting to see what we wind up with.
Well, gentlemen, the reconciliation process, as you mentioned, this is the money part. It's going to be scored real soon, and there's a lot of anxiety. If you're talking about getting rid of the mandates, getting rid of all those taxes, which amount to $600 billion between now and 2026, how is it replaced? How do you sell this bill, the new bill, the ultimate replacement bill, without, how do you pay for it, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
Well, you know, we keep talking about these things, and really, we're in phase one right now, as you know. Phase two, and I think Jerry just explained these things very clearly. Dr. Price did too. And then we get into phase three, where we do some of the real good things about being able to go across state lines, all those other things that you can do and you can touch. But as you know, Charles, the Senate rules are so different for us. There are certain things we can do, and we're doing those things today when it comes to the tax end of it, because that's what Ways and Means handle. When you get over to Energy and Commerce, they've got other jurisdictions. But at the end of the day, the current process we're in right now it can't be paid for, and we know that. We know it's so far off the mark of what was sold to us early on. So we're looking at it, we're saying, is it truly sustainable? Is it something that you can ever actually bank on? And I got to tell you, as a private sector guy, we're just going through that right now. For about 40-some people, 50 people, it's going to cost us $500,000 this year to supply health care. And that's with premiums that are off the rails, deductibles and copays. So when you ask how are we going to pay for it, we can't pay for what there's right now. So we better take a look at what we're doing, and we better change it. And that's what it's going to come down to. But I will tell you this, the Affordable Care Act has had a dramatic effect on the economy. You have a robust and dynamic economy. You start to see things rise again. I like the fact that employers pick up the tab on an awful lot of health care out there. Why wouldn't you want employers absorbing more of that, providing that for their associates? That just makes sense to me. That's what we do in the private sector. We take care of our own.
There's no doubt about that. But Representative Babin, does it ultimately mean, though, that somewhere something's got to change? I mean, we know it's in a death spiral. We know it's expensive. We know it's hurt the economy. But it's going to get back to the process that we keep talking about. And somewhere along the line, the numbers have to add up. How does that happen?
Well, you know, Charles, we know that we can only do so much through reconciliation. And because we don't have the numbers, we don't have the votes in the U.S. Senate, we have to utilize this vehicle called reconciliation. There's only so much that we can do. And there's three processes, as we've already heard the Health and Human Services Secretary say, Tom Price. So as far what I'm interested in doing is not having a government-controlled healthcare industry, and I don't want a new huge entitlement program with high taxes that the government is telling folks what to do, which is exactly what the Obamacare has been doing to us for 7 long years.
Gentlemen, I think you're absolutely right. I think, and everyone agrees, government, the less fingerprints of the government on this, the better. Get rid of the mandate. That's extraordinarily popular. And, you know, there's an SOS. The country is looking at you guys to get it done. So we wish you luck, and I really appreciate you taking out the time. I know you're crunched, and we appreciate it. Thank you both.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much.
Let's take a listen right now, because we've got these conservative leaders coming out of the White House.
Bill, he heard our concerns, our very serious concerns with the House draft bill. And I'm encouraged that the president indicated they're pushing to make changes in the bill, and they have a plan that is in 3 phases. This bill's phase 1,